we're in the intent of searching for something, right? We're a consumer, we're looking for something that we need for work. And what's our process? Maybe you know a brand that you're already attached to, maybe you don't know what you want. And so again, like we're going back to the basis of search. So we all know that these types of results down here, these are our organic that we just optimized for in our project one. And then the paid ones are these, right? Where it says ad next to it. And it almost looks like it is an organic result, but it will say ad next to it. And then these up here are shopping feed ads. So these actually pull in from a feed. So that's a little bit more complicated with e-commerce. And for this, you would have a Google Merchant account. So it's another addition to Google Ads. But if you are selling products online, you would set that all up in there. So we won't go into that in this class because that's super deep, and usually not a lot of people have a lot of need to set that up. But there are videos on YouTube that are great at it with setting up your product feed. So what we're going to get into next is we're going to go into Google My Business, and then we're also going to go into Google Ads and set up ads like this. So remember that search is two-part. Like if we can't rank because let's say that we are a small retailer of a specialty drink in Montana, which is one of the examples, the case studies that, the projects that I know one of the students did a project on. So let's say that we do specialty gin kombucha, right? So if we do that and we can't rank, then what we'd end up doing is we'd start running ads. So it's kind of two-part. And of course, the ads are the ones you have to pay for. So our experience of like looking for best black sneakers, you can tell that Cole Haan is in the industry of wanting to get you to buy their sneakers. All right, and then this is just a little toolbar I have up here that kind of shows you what it would cost, and that you can tell it's old because it says Google AdWords campaign. So Google AdWords switched to Google Ads. I can't remember when, maybe a year or more ago, but when you hear the term AdWords, it's the same as Google Ads. Hi, Lucas.
Hello.
Welcome aboard. We're just diving in for today, and then we're going to go over what's coming up the next couple weeks at the end.
Very good. Thank you.
Cool. Yes. Thanks for being here. So paid, right up here. And then when we look at, let's like this, full disclosure, this is a client I work with for storage in Whitefish. And so this is a Google Maps ad, right? So when it's down here and it's on the maps, that's when we see it as a Maps ad. And this is partially tied into Google My Business, but it's ran through Google Ads. So there's two parts to that. So our mini project for the next few weeks is going to be setting up Google My Business for someone who doesn't have it, or optimizing it. So just a couple ways to do that, and we'll jump into that a little bit later, but or later in the next few weeks. But what we'll want to do is make sure that if we click on something that it is optimized and it doesn't have missing information. So let's see, this is a website I optimized in 2017. So you can see how it's Whitefish Safeguard Storage, which is their brand name. And then this is what the delineator was at the time. You can see that the hard bars or the colons or the hashes kind of change. So I could go in and update that to the hyphen. Sorry, not hashes, hyphens. But you see that it was optimized for storage near Whitefish, Montana, right? And then a little bit with a meta description. It looks like it runs over just a tad. I'm really curious now, actually. So this is what did I do back in the day? I think that's too much. So this is like the application of really like when we're working on stuff. What's the day? 49 words. So this is this is fun. So you know how we are optimizing for 165 characters for our meta descriptions. This is I must have been working on this when Google was optimizing their descriptions longer. They went to a term, or they had a period where they were optimizing for like almost 300 words in a meta description, and then everything else cut off. So that's a good client to go revisit and say, hey, let's update. Side note there. So that's the fun technical stuff. Okay, but so optimize the content on the site. That's what we've already done in this example. And then the other part of it is going in and saying, hey, we want to run some paid ads. So we show up. I searched this the other day and we are showing up in here as well. Sometimes it will, sometimes I can trigger this, sometimes I can't, just depending on who else is advertising. And then it's showing up on the maps. So that is the combination of optimizing a site and then looking at making sure that you're showing up at top. So for example, self-storage was a lot of the competition for Whitefish Safeguard Storage. Full disclosure, these guys just sold. The guy who built the business and I worked with on all his ads and to get here just sold the business and got out of it. So that's an example of how when your business is doing so well and you optimize on Google, that you can build such a business that you're like, okay, ready to be done. All right, so one more example, we're gonna go look at Google My Business. So the things I just showed you, those ads were paid, and then there also are organic results. And so Google My Business is controlled through here. It's essentially a free listing, right? And it's the listing that goes on the side of the page. So if we look at an example of this, let's do bakeries. Bakeries Whitefish. So you can see that these are all free. There's not an ad next to them. So these are all the listings that people have, the business owners have set up on their own. And this is the Google My Business information. It appears on maps. Sometimes it'll appear on the sidebar, just depending on what the experience or what device you're on and what you're searching for. So these are all Google My Business places. But what's really interesting, I don't know why they show everything when it's coming up with just these, but that is Google for you, right? So this information is what you can control. You can control all of this. You can't necessarily control your reviews. You can respond to them, but most of the time, unless it's spam, your reviews are going to show. But you can respond to them through an account that you set up with Google My Business. And so this just has all your information when you're open. It's great. It was great, especially during the start of the pandemic, to show what would be open and what would be closed. And so a lot of business owners have this information wrong. And it was actually pretty annoying, like the user experience of saying, hey, I'm going to go do takeout from so-and-so, and they weren't open. That's really just a bad consumer experience, right? So just to recover this, and I know that it might seem I'm being repetitive about it, but this is how it starts to all tie in together. So Google My Business is the free listing. You can set it up through here. And this is going to be what our mini project 2 is. Essentially, you will ask a business to grant you access. There's a way that they can grant you access to update it. And so you just help them optimize their page. Or you can set up a new page for a business if they do not have it. So for example, there might be a new business, like let's say you're doing design services or cleaning services, you can set it up that you would serve an area, so it doesn't have to have a physical address. So a couple of ways that we'll look at that. But just start thinking, if you know anyone who has a business that you'd like to help them optimize, what I mean by that is usually they don't have a lot of images with their information. People are getting better and better at this, but not always. I found some dentists and doctors' offices that don't know how to update their locations. So think about that. Like, do you go see a doctor that maybe moved locations, or do you know a business that recently moved locations? That's something to think about. And doctors might be harder to work with based on patient-client relationships and such, but you never know. Like, there's a lot of small businesses out there, right? So what's the Whitefish KOA look like? Does it say when they're open, and such? So that is what we're going to work on for that next mini project, right? Like, there could be more information. So if you know anyone, and again, we'll walk through that later, but just start thinking about someone who has a local business that you'd like to help. Any questions with the difference between Google My Business and paid ads, right? Like right here, and the search ads? Okay, good to go. Then there are also display ads. So we're just going over kind of types of ads, right? So there's map ads. There are search ads. Search ads come up when you are searching for a term, like we're looking for black sneakers or storage in Whitefish. And then there are display ads. So display ads can appear on a website. I'm surprised that none are triggering right now. That's interesting. Let's go ahead and see. So this is a banner ad that is running, but this is the Beacon. The Beacon owns that still. So where they might have changed their format a little bit, but the ads when you're shopping and then you go and you start shopping for something and it follows you around, those are retargeting ads. So they're display ads with a retargeting setting. So it's basically that the display ad is set, and then once they visit your site, you can set the audience and like the person has visited your site, and then you can follow them around. I'm sure we can trigger some display ads somewhere. Things are changing. I'm really surprised we haven't seen ads yet. There we go. So these are the display ad that there's a couple ways. Sometimes you can run it through Google Ads. Sometimes you can like work with Daily Interlink to show up specifically on their page. Just depends like what package they have going on. But something like this is more than likely a Google ad that's displaying. And so these are display ads, and I have been to Vecteezy recently, so that's probably why they are showing. And I was looking for eco-friendly stuff. So see how once you hit a page or a topic, these are display ads that will follow you around. So we aren't going to get into Facebook advertising in this class. We primarily focus on Google. What I'm going to show you now is the ads, what the ads look like. So this is the account we'll be working in for Google Ads. It is a account that I set up several years ago. We don't have campaigns running right now, but this is an account that I used for class and then also used for advertising for the school. So our second project is that we're going to be setting up ads and running them. So let me look at this. Do not want there. This is the like simple view, which is the worst. We want the other view. No one's paying them right now. We will get that changed. So how to switch view? There we go. So see how we were in that simple view before? Let's switch back to it. This is like the really basic view. And when you go to set up a new Google Ads account, you go to ads.google.com. It's going to take you to here, and then you would start now or sign in depending on what's going on. So once you are in Google Ads, when you first started, it's going to give you really, really basic stuff like click here, start this, let's do a smart campaign. And you think smart campaigns would be smart, but you don't know how Google is spending your money. You don't have metrics on essentially who is looking at your content. You don't have as much control over it. So I would highly, highly recommend that when you're setting up an ads account for outside this class, like anytime in the real world, that once you have to go through the steps in order to like set up your first ad. But as soon as you have that first ad set up, you pause it and then you switch that view to the more complex view. So you'll see that it gives us a whole different set of tools to work with and see how this just expands so much bigger. We can look at conversions and attribution. We can look at what's really happening with the campaigns. And so we're going to start looking at ads and how we run those. And I'm not going to go too deep into this today. We're actually just going to have a short class today. I just wanted to expose you to, how the ads are controlled through ads.google.com. And then just kind of an overview of a few of the settings. It can get super confusing in here. And so again, I don't want to overwhelm you today, but different types of campaigns, video, display, and search. And so within these, there are a number of options to choose from. So video campaigns are ones that you're going to see that are running like on YouTube. So you can do like a pre-roll, which is usually like 6 seconds. And then you can also do like a full 30-second ad. So if you're working with any businesses and they say, we should do a 1-minute commercial, I usually shy away from that. Like we always should do at least a 30-second cut, because if we want to use it on YouTube, it's better. It's also usually better to run on TV a 30-second, and there's more time slots for it. So just kind of a heads up with that. And then let's see. And then display campaigns, those are the ones that are going to be showing up on the sides of websites. And then search campaigns are when people are searching for a term, right? So those are showing up just like we were looking here for storage. Those are the ones that are showing up. And then there is a map extension or a map add-on for triggering this part. So welcome to the super fun and complex world of the Google Ads interface. You can see that these little icons over here show you if it was video and if it was display and if it was search. So when we were running healthcare ads in Montana in 2018, we were doing those as display, and you would see them on like the Flathead Beacon site and other sites that you were on that you met that audience criteria for. So I'm not going to go super deep, like I said, but just know search, display, video, and then there's a hierarchy. There is a campaign, an ad group, and an ad. So when you're in a campaign, there's a certain number of ad groups that are in there. So these are campaigns. Let's go to, I think this is what, that was different. So now we have different ad groups. So there's 2 different ad groups, and then within there you should see different ads. So typically, and we didn't for this one, but typically you want to create 3 different ads for each ad group. That's just a best practice for Google being able to see which one is performing best. Let me look at one other thing. Let's go to this Kalispell 2002 mile radius. So these, see how these have names behind them? Joyce, Aaron, Joyce, Aaron. These are student ads these are examples of student ads. So this is what you'll end up creating. So again, we're in this Kalispell 200 mile radius campaign. And then under there, we have several different ad groups. And within the ad groups, we have different ads. But see how it's confusing? Like now we're in ads here. So sometimes it's just easiest to like start at the top level. I usually end up going back to all campaigns. then you can see when you're in campaigns, how you break down. So then we jump into 200-mile radius. We see that these are the ad groups. So we have some from Erin, some from Joyce, some from Shanta. And then this is what we're going to look at, comparing clicks, impressions, click-through rate. So all the fun stuff that we'll be getting into. And then when you're in a campaign, then you'll be able to see what ads are in that. And so then we'll be writing these ads. So what that looks like is you come in, we say, and I'll give you the instructions for how to kind of set this up and where we're driving traffic to. But then where you're going to be writing as the descriptions and the headlines, and then these ads are going to be running live. So that's the quick version of what we'll be getting into in the second half of this class. So I think it's more fun. Definitely is less work. The end report is less work too. And so this is the fun part. Once you have all the hard work done of optimizing your website, then you get to go into ads and start working on these.